for this Castrol-sponsored motor race day. As they come to the line, Willie Hepburn just a little further back, hoping to push his way through as they come to the starting light. And it's Sorrel van der Merwe gets the jump on the others. The Sassel Ford really roaring along as they go up to Potter's Pass now, touching 280 kilometres an hour. You can see the bump, touch of the brakes. Terry Moss, we're in with him now, right on his tail as he goes through this terrifying corner. They use all the road, a little bit of the dirt as well. Coming down through Rifle, they're up to 300 kilometres an hour. Sorrel van der Merwe in the Ford. Terry Moss in the Minolta out in second, and challenging there, Ben Morgenrud. Willie Hepburn has got through to fourth position. He's passed Chris Aberdeen as they come out of Cochabana. It's in with Moss once again as Ben Morgenrud's Mazda out accelerates him. Listen alongside, you'll hear Willie Hepburn's V8 as they come into the Rifle Bend. And Willie, looking for a way through, has touched the back of Terry Moss's car, gone into the infield, and that's Willie's efforts, to all intents and purposes, out of the way. But Terry Moss gets back on the road and starts to set off after the leaders. And Sorrel van der Merwe being challenged now by Ben Morgenrud. Lower and lighter now. It's a straight fight between these two drivers. And just listen to the glorious sound of that motor car. And as they come up to Potters, a little bit of a touch there from those two cars, loosens the bodywork, and it flies off. There goes the mirror as Ben Morgenrud keeps the foot down in that screaming Mazda, tears past the Ford. Coming down through Rifle Bend now, they're hitting 300 kilometres an hour, and Morgenrud is on a charge. Sorrel van der Merwe still thereabouts. This has not slowed Ben Morgenrud down one little bit as they get heavy onto the brakes there down to Cochabana corner. The order now is Morgenrud. Then it's Sorrel van der Merwe. Third is Chris Aberdeen. Fourth coming through the field is Terry Moss. And Sorrel van der Merwe has had a bolt go on his gear linkage. He's stuck in fifth gear. You can hear him slipping the clutch, trying to get it out of the corners. He can't get it onto the power band, and he has to struggle home to fourth position as Ben Morgenrud comes through to win it. Some of the D-class cars, it's Richard Sorensen winning there ahead of Ray Wolford. And Terry Moss arrives in a hurry on the last corner of the last lap of the race. Chris Aberdeen, not playing to team instructions, but seeing Terry Moss needs all the points, slows down for him, and Moss gets through and comes to the line in second position, taking his points, which puts him at the top of the championship log. And in Class B, here's another turn-up for the books. Johan could see in the Gearmax Skyline, beaten at Kyle Army. He's making no mistakes about it here today. He's rebuilt his Nissan engine. It is flying along, and he comes home ahead of Tony Viona in the BMW. They'll be doing some fair tuning in the pits before the second race. So let's have a look at the results there. Ben Morgenrud, a tearaway win despite the damage to the motor car in the Mazda 323. Terry Moss coming through and just getting second position on the line. In Class B, Johan could see a bit of a turn up there ahead of Tony Viona. Gary Dunkley, very good there in the Sabre Porsche. Sounds glorious at the circuit. Class C was won by Dave Repsold in the Toyota, and Class D by Richard Sorensen, who's going to win this class this year in the championship. And the other good news is 4 new lap records in all 4 classes that are contested. So the work on the circuit certainly paying. As they come around their warm-up lap, this rolling start lap for the second race, Ben Morgenrud is going to dictate the speed across the line. The clerk of the course, Brian Hoskins, holding that red light on right to the last moment, so he can't jump at the start as they all close up. Now we're in with Chris Aberdeen this time. There's his turbo boost gauge on the left-hand side. Those are Messerschmitt instruments in front of him. Right, we've got Morgenrud tearing away. Look at the new aerodynamics on the back of Moss's car. Sorrel van der Merwe comes past Aberdeen as they go into Potters, using all the road. There's a frightening corner, very bumpy as well. You can see them bumping and bouncing around. And Morgenrud making no mistakes, screaming along. Terry Moss, suffering from a broken air dam in the front of his motor car, is starting to lose a bit of ground. Heavy on the brakes for Beacon Corner. And Morgenrud is going to be a hard man to beat in this race. Sorrel van der Merwe in third position, being followed by Chris Aberdeen. And Willie Hepburn losing a little bit of ground. He hasn't got the traction coming out of Beacon Corner, not like these four-wheel drive. As Morgenrud goes flat out through Potters. Screaming along like a V12 Ferrari. Sorrel van der Merwe right in there this time. And Terry Moss using all the road. It's bumpy through Potters, as he said. Back in with Chris Aberdeen. Ahead, Sorrel van der Merwe trying to get on the inside of Terry Moss in the Minolta Audi, coming through Beacon Corner, finishing another lap. And you can almost feel that acceleration from the 500 horses under that bonnet and four-wheel drive as they come up to the start-finish line. Ahead of him, it's Terry Moss losing a bit of ground. Those aerodynamics affecting the handling of that motor car. vanishing into the blue, Sarl van der Merwe. Even further ahead of them is Ben Morganwood on a roll and going for his third win in a row. And Chris Aberdeen comes past Terry Moss, a very dangerous spot there. Willie Hepburn's blown a head gasket. He's just circulating around for points, so that big Sabre at Opal suffering a little bit down here at the coast. But Willie, nevertheless, very sportingly carrying on to the finish. And Sarl van der Merwe's got Aberdeen on his tail as they come up on Dave Repsol. He's leading Class C at the moment. No, he's not. Ahead of him, he's got George Bezuidenhout in the Nissan. As Chris Aberdeen passes Sarl. Sarl's turbo pipe has come off and Aberdeen gets past him. And here's the Class B battle. Change of order this time. B16 is Tony Vion in the 535 BMW. It's the Springbok Johan could see in that Gearmax Skyline. Nothing between these two motorcars, trying to go around the outside. And this is going to be a fight to the finish, not only of this race, but of the championship here. And George Bezuidenhout, he's leading Class C as Aberdeen comes up in the final stages of this race around Beacon Corner. Very nicely turned out little centre. He's going to be thrilled with this win in this race. And Sarl van der Merwe losing a bit of ground as Terry Moss starts to tear back up through the field. He gets Van der Merwe there. He's got Chris Aberdeen ahead of him. He needs the points if he's going to keep his position at the top of the championship log. And Ben Morganwood does the double for the day. And that's 3 wins in a row. He won at Kyle Army the last time. And on top of it, he set up a new lap record, 5 seconds under the old lap record. And so did the other drivers in Class A. So Morganwood had a very, very good weekend indeed. Back in there with Chris Aberdeen. He wants Terry Moss to come past him. Terry Moss said at the prize giving that Aberdeen was running out of petrol, but this is not team tactics. It's just a sporting gesture by Aberdeen, letting Terry Moss get through to get the maximum number of points for his championship bid. So in the second race, Ben Morganwood does the double for the day in his Mazda ahead of the 2 Audis. In Class B, it was Tony Viona heading home, Johan Coetzee and Gary Dunkley. Class C, George Bezuidenhout and Nissan very happy there ahead of Dave Repsol. And Ray Wolford winning Class D ahead of Sorensen, who got the lap record. We had lap records in all 4 classes.